So life is stories. Outwardly, it's a house of mirrors, but inwardly, and really all it ever really is a story. And one may restart one story at any time. Absolutely. Restarting one story at any time. The story of what? The story of what you feel aligns with your experience. And perhaps, there's really three main aspects to life, and that is health, relationships, and resources, in that order. Right? Health, relationships, and resources. Health being at the top, of course. Each level facilitates the other, right? Your health in many aspects, not just physical, reflects in your relationships. Great relationships with high quality people reflect in your resources. From there, there's a lot more to resources, But one thing about resources is that there's no lack. There's no lack of resources. There may be lack of proper distribution, but of resources, you think not everyone on earth can eat if things just switched around as far as law and contribution and, all of that. It could be left or right? Oof. I just steered this away from getting political. I don't want to get political. Though it seems like it's coming in again, it's rolling in again, like being political or politically minded as like a popular thing, especially among the youth, which is refreshing to see. It's refreshing to see. I'm 28. I wouldn't really consider myself a youth, but this is something that I can say I feel the weight of 28, but at the same time, weight and just being able to feel myself is remarkable. When you don't tie your feeling of value to pretty much anything other than existing just because. Existing, you and honestly, your value really comes from the fact that you just exist. That's just in one aspect, though. In transacting, ideally, you would want that high quality to reflect in your offers, because that's the thing, is that being of service seems to be something that I need to focus on much more. Being of service. And I certainly have the capabilities, the skills to do so. Matter of fact, if anyone needs mixing, I know it's like a strange plug, but if anyone needs like mixing, like audio engineering, if you have tracks that you have laid down already, recorded, everything is ready to go, and you have the files and you want me to mix them, let me know. I'll take a listen, and we'll talk. But anyway, yeah, the intrinsic value. That's really something that is very new to me. By new, I mean a few years. Not really something that, well, the thing is that it's kind of like a resurgence of how a child would feel value in a sense, because then there's also the dependence aspect. But if all basic needs are met, right, which is a tall order, but if all basic needs are met, then from there, a child, a baby, that they would just get value from the fact that they just exist and they're being cared for. Exist and they're being cared for. And when are we not being cared for? We are being cared for in so many ways that our very place of existing in the fabric of what we're experiencing as our life is being cared for meticulously. Even if you want to get biological, by however many millions of cells, right? This is something that is being directed in every moment, conducted in every moment. Yes, it's all electromagnetic. Think of nervous system and how important that is, to conduct electricity along the body, right? And to refine that type of feeling, it's strange. I keep thinking of how I said basic human needs are being met as a tall order, and it shouldn't be. Going back to like what I was hinting at, I guess, when it comes to either living very collectively minded or whatever we're in now, at least in most of the Western Hemisphere, right? Which is like late stage capitalistic collapse, but not really a collapse, because it doesn't really seem to me like the dollar can actually collapse. Its weight in recent human history is too tremendous for it to just phase out and no, it'll always go through swings, and it is on a downturn. But now, when you can essentially determine wealth through, I don't know if to call it arbitration or, that's what they're doing. You know what I mean? The same way how oh my God, what a beautiful full circle moment. The same way that I'm talking about, one can decide one's own self-value in any given moment, and one can just decide for it to be a 10 out of 10 today, right? And every day, right? Just because of one's existence, right? One's intrinsic value. That's what even the elites of the elites are doing, is simply determining the instrument and assigning a value to it. So this is what I mean by like money, resources, which is money is a god here on this earth. Money is a god here, most certainly. Most certainly. The bull run, right? It traces back thousands of years. Even has a astrological analog to Taurus, right? Which also has to do with one's possessions, right? It's natural houses, the second house, which is my possessions. So I know these things just so that I can relate them across, across many references, right? Hmm. It's so interesting to think about that. Literally everyone, the the people who determine what goes on as far as conducting human history along and restraining it in certain ways intentionally, right? They're doing the same thing to how they transact value in a way. Now, no one has well, I'm not sure if anyone has an absolute monopoly on how things are run. I mean, one person? There must be one person, but, you know, I imagine that would get religious. I don't think it would be a political figure. I think it would be a religious figure. You know, I can think of one over in Italy, but I don't even really want to mention him, you know. This is a strange time we're living in. And human history, wow. It's crazy. It's like every day I wake up and I'm like waking up to a storyline called humanity. Right? A storyline called humanity. A storyline called humanity. Every day I'm waking up. And waking up to a storyline called humanity. Which is mostly characterized by insanity, all manner of depravity, conducted by calamities, I was gonna say circumference of the stratosphere. I'm just coming up with lines, you know. This is what I do. That was ill though, you know. We're figuring this out. We are figuring this out. It's already figured out. That's the thing about it. It's already figured out. Life is already figured out. You know, I think preparation is key. Preparation is key. I'll make another video.